The boy nobody believed in. The rain had been falling since dawn, not the gentle kind that nourishes the soil, but the heavy, relentless kind that feels like punishment. It poured through the broken roof of a small wooden barn, soaking the hay, turning the dirt floor into thick mud. A young boy stood inside, frozen. His hands trembled as the final support beam cracked. Then, the barn collapsed. Wood splintered. Dust filled the air. Silence followed. The boy didn't scream. He didn't cry. He just stood there, staring at the ruins of the only shelter his family had left. Born into nothing, everyone doubted him. But what he does next will shock you. His name was Ethan Carter. Ethan was born in the early 1800s, in a forgotten farming village where poverty was common and hope was rare. His father worked the land from sunrise to sunset, yet the land gave little in return. Their house was small, their meals were fewer, their struggles were endless. From the moment Ethan could walk, he learned what hardship felt like. Cold winters with no firewood, long days with empty stomachs, and nights filled with worried whispers between his parents. Each year brought a new setback. One season the crops failed, another year disease killed their livestock, and when they finally rebuilt, a storm would destroy it all again. It felt as though life itself had chosen them to lose. The neighbors noticed, and instead of helping, they judged. That family is cursed. No matter how hard they try, they'll never escape poverty. That boy doesn't stand a chance. Ethan heard those words as he passed by, sometimes spoken aloud, sometimes whispered behind closed doors. Each sentence carved itself into his heart. Before we go further, if you enjoy deep, emotional, motivational stories about life, resilience, and personal growth, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. These stories reach more people when you support them, and someone out there may need this one today. Ethan worked harder than most boys his age. Before sunrise, he fetched water. He repaired fences with bare hands. He helped his father in the fields until his arms ached. Yet effort didn't bring respect. At school, his clothes were patched and worn, his shoes barely held together. When he raised his hand to speak, laughter followed. Why does he even try? Dreams aren't for boys like him. He should just accept his fate. Even the teacher looked at him with quiet disappointment. One afternoon, after a long day of mockery, Ethan was dismissed early. He walked home slowly, head down, each step heavier than the last. That night, sitting beside a flickering candle, he stared into the flame. The room was silent, and for the first time, he asked himself a question that terrified him. Is this really all my life will ever be? Despite everything, despite hunger, doubt, and humiliation, something inside Ethan refused to die. A quiet voice whispered that there had to be more. So he began to dream, not of wealth, not of power, but of a life where his effort mattered, a life where his background didn't decide his future, a life where he wasn't invisible. He borrowed old books from anyone willing to lend, listened closely to travelers passing through town, observed how other farmers worked differently. He learned in silence. By day, he worked the land. By night, he worked his mind. No one clapped for him, no one noticed, but Ethan kept going. If this story feels familiar, if you've ever been doubted, overlooked, or underestimated, like and subscribe. Stories like this are reminders that your struggle has meaning. Then came the storm that would push everything to the edge. Rain fell for days without rest. The fields flooded. The soil washed away. One by one, their last animals died. And then the final blow. The barn collapsed. Again, Ethan stood beside his father, surrounded by ruin. No money, no food, no clear future. His father sank to the ground, shoulders heavy with defeat. "This is as far as we go," he said quietly. "I've done all I can." For a long moment, Ethan said nothing. Then with a steady voice, he spoke. "No, this is not the end." His father looked up in disbelief. Ethan didn't have answers. He didn't have guarantees, but he had something stronger: belief. From that moment, Ethan changed. Not the world around him, but himself. He stopped fearing failure and began learning from it. He adapted when others gave up. He tried again when it didn't work. Slowly, things began to shift. The land responded. Small successes appeared. Hope returned. Quietly, the same neighbors who once mocked him now watched in silence, because persistence speaks louder than words. Ethan Carter's story is not just about a poor boy from the 1800s. It is about anyone who has been told they are not enough. The lesson is simple, but powerful. Your beginnings do not define your ending. Doubt from others does not cancel your potential. Self-belief is the foundation of every great transformation. When no one believes in you, belief must come from within. And when everything collapses around you, that is often the moment your true strength is revealed. If this story reflects your life, like and subscribe. Comment below if Ethan's journey mirrors your own. How could this lesson help you move forward today? Because this wasn't just Ethan's story, it's yours too. But Ethan's journey isn't over. A greater disaster is about to strike, one that will test his belief like never before and change his life forever. The next motivational story will reveal what happens next.